All right, and welcome back for another very special session today. I have a good friend of mine, Oliver Kenyon from the Landing Page Guys, and we're going to talk about some stuff that all you guys are, well, probably struggling with a little bit, or if not, there's still a million things you can learn. So today, for me, I'm just going to nerd out a little bit. For me, these sessions are phenomenal because one, I always like to dig into these actual business stories, and not just the service that they do, but, it's just always interesting for me and for you guys to hear, obviously. And then we're going to come up with some very, very applicable stuff, how you can see if you're in good shape, what's working for you, what's not working for you. My goal for this session with Oliver is for you guys to go through this content and actually have a list of things that you can apply straight away, right? Or to have someone that you can talk to if you need some extra advice, right? So to kick it off, Oliver, if you would do me the honor, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, the business, the transition you guys went through over the last couple of years, to kick it off with.
Yeah, no, really appreciate it. Thank you for the intro. I think myself and you have these kind of talks every week on Facebook and stuff. So it's great to finally be sharing it with your audience. And we love working for you and Justin for the last year or two. So it's great, like I say, to be on the show at last. So about us. My name's Oliver Kenyon, as you said. I'm 32. I originally got into the online space when I was probably about 15, 16. I trained as a chef. So I don't think anyone sort of at the age of 15, 16 says, I want to be a landing page designer, or I want to create a conversion rate optimization business. But as anything, like as all of us, I'm sure you kind of fall into the next thing and then something just clicks and then you find your kind of passion project and you stick with it. And that's kind of how it happened. To give you a kind of brief snapshot of how we got to this.
Yeah, please do.
I kind of come onto the online space. I was a full-time chef, trained to be a chef. And as many of you know who probably have worked in the kind of restaurant or kind of catering industry, you don't get much spare time. So you work split shifts, you work like 8 till 3, and then you're off for 2 hours, and then you're back in at like 5:30 till close. That could be like 1 o'clock in the morning. It could be 10 o'clock if you're lucky, and you're like, oh, hey. But it's a bit of an intense career. You don't get paid much. You work a lot of hours. But I loved it. I loved the buzz of it. I loved the rush of being a chef. But I was always kind of looking for more. So on the side, I was online. Funny enough, I used to love, and I still love, but I used to be mad about hip hop. So rap and R&B and hip hop. I used to be a huge like Eminem fan, and these are the days of like 8 Mile and rap battles. So the first kind of experience I had of a website was like an Eminem fan site, and like I think I created it on like Moonfruit like so many years ago, like played around with Dreamweaver and stuff like this. But I was on these rap sites, and I thought to myself, do you know what? Like, I can actually create my own forum, my own rap site, and have a go at this myself, because it fascinated me. And I loved the thought of like no one telling me what to do. I had my full control over doing this. Like, my parents weren't involved, my teachers at school weren't involved. Like, I didn't really agree with education. So I kind of started this forum and kind of pieced it together. And I always remember the story. Like, I sat down. Those of you in the States, I think you guys have Shark Tank. In the UK, we have Dragon's Den. It's like that whole thing where you bring a business idea to some business experts and pitch, and they give you investment. And I did that with my dad and my grandfather. I sat them down and I said to them, like, I need 140 quid to set up this forum, to buy a domain, to start this rap forum. I did my little pitch to them. I can still remember to this day. And they agreed. And they agreed to give me 140 quid for 40% of my business. Now, I was probably 15 at the time. I'm now 32. And I still get phone calls from my dad every week saying that he still owns 40% of our companies, which my co-founder's not too happy about, but it's all good.
I was going to say that man made a great investment with
right. So as you can tell, like, the first forum failed. So unfortunately, Dad, you're not getting that back. But I just kind of fell into different things, launching a new forum. I was always passionate about communities and forums. I love forums. And to fast forward, I met a guy on one of these hip hop forums from Wales, and he was into CPA marketing, cost per action marketing, so a form of affiliate marketing. And me and him used to do some CPA marketing together, and that's how I first made some money online. And as soon as I did, like, you probably went through it, a lot of your viewers went through it, and you're like, shit, this is amazing, like, it's going to last forever. Obviously, it didn't. But what I found with CPA marketing is it was very secretive. No one wanted to share. Like, I look in your group all the time, like, it's amazing how much value people want to give these days. But back then, no one wanted to share anything. It was relatively new. Everyone kept it to themselves. And there was lots of secrets. So I created, naturally, I love communities. I already built a forum for CPA marketing. And I never thought it would grow to be anything. I just thought it was going to be a forum for me and my friends to discuss CPA marketing. Now, all of a sudden, all these people started joining. I was like, this is weird. Like, I don't get this.
How did they join, by the way? How come?
Yeah, absolutely. We were members of a CPA network called CPAlead.com. I think they're still going, but it was an incentivized network. And the network, in the dashboard, when you logged in to see your stats, it had a chat room, which was wicked because they were so clever. Because what they were doing is you could put something like /today or /lifetime, and it would show your stats to all the other users. So like people were constantly trying to beat them their today's score. They were like, oh, I'm the top. It would say like you are the top earner today of £7,000 or something. So anyway, it was really clever. The chat was really active, and we would go on there and say, look, we just started this forum where people want to come on. We're looking for a group of people to kind of almost like a mini mastermind to talk about CPA marketing. So people kept joining, and then they would get their friends to join. And I was like, what? These people, like all of a sudden I had like 100 members. I was like, this was only meant to be for like me and 3 other people. But it was wicked. It was good. And then a guy called, who I'm sure you're familiar with, Tim Bird, approached me. And
the Godfather, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Tim Bird himself approached me and said, I will pay you, I can't even remember what it was, like $200 per month. He used to own a CPA network called Plus. He said, I'll pay you $200 per month to put a banner on your site. And I was like, what? I'm going to make money from this? This is mental. Like, I was still a chef. I'm working like every hour under the sun. So I was buzzing. I put the banner on. And funny enough, Tim is now one of my very good friends. And he'll come up in this story again. But made the forum. Fast forward with the forum, like till 2 years ago, it's now the largest affiliate community online. We have over 100,000 members, and I actually sold it 2 years ago to Neil Patel's investment firm. So that's quite a cool story for something that I didn't even realize was going to be anything. That was really cool. But the way Tim comes up again is I was always really, I loved like brand. I loved good looking websites, and my forum looked very good. I didn't have much money as a chef, but anything I did, I put back into the forum to make it look nice. And Tim approached me again and said, how can I use your designers? So being the entrepreneur that I didn't realize I was back then, I thought instead of just introing him, I'm going to arbitrage this, right? So I'm just going to be the middleman. I'm going to manage the projects. And I didn't realize how big Tim was back then. Tim used to do a lot of lead gen. So he was working for a company in the US called Debt.org, the biggest debt company in the US.
That's a nice domain.
Yeah, very cool. Heading up their lead gen department. Right. And basically we started building landing pages utilizing my designers that I built Affiliate Fix with this forum.
So essentially arbitraging it.
Exactly. Like they would just, Tim would pay me X amount. I would take my cut and manage the projects for him. And he would then, they were getting good results because we started then kind of piecing together what would convert. Tim would give us feedback on the next lander. We would then optimize it further. And we built up what now is now known as our like internal blueprint, which we'll touch on hopefully when we kind of some really useful information further on. But that was the start of what landing page is today. So that was kind of like 8 years ago. We used to be called CreateMy.com. We were like every other website design agency out in the world who just makes websites look pretty. But we started to focus on the conversion rate. And once we got these results for Tim, like at one stage, Tim was paying us like 10K per month to build these pages. And bear in mind, I made 10K a year as a chef. I was like, mad, right? So we kind of built it up from there. I brought Andy on board, my co-founder, who I actually met through my forum, but funny enough, he only lives 20 minutes away from me, which is nuts. Andy worked for me for about 3 weeks until we turned around to each other and said, this isn't going to work. Let's just partner up on it. Because I'm very lucky to have a co-founder because everything he's good at, I'm awful at, and everything I'm good at, he's awful at. So we kind of just fit. We soon realized that. And to start with, we managed Tim's contract and built him pages. And then he would refer other clients on. He would, say, these guys, you need to use them. I'm getting sick conversion rates. And this was really, I'll hold my hands up, before we actually really knew anything about conversion rates. Like we were very young to the business. But yeah, then 7 years ago, we kind of decided to launch it out as a proper business and get more clients. And we changed our name to Landing Page Guys. And the second we niched down and changed ourselves to Landing Page Guys, we like 4x in the first month. Like it's crazy.
Which I think is like, that's a point I want people to hear because it's so important. So many people, and that goes for every industry really, they just want to do it all. And we're going to get into it, through our talk today as well, from going very big, broad, going down to niche and what kind of an effect that can have. But I just want people to hear that how big of a difference it can be. And I would assume for you guys, it was night and day, right?
It was massive, but we were also scared of doing it because we were like, oh, we're going to cut out so much business. But like, in fact, you actually opened the door. And now like like part of the reason I'm on this live is my whole focus and job now is educating people that everyone who has an online presence needs a landing page or a funnel, or needs to have a CRO focused website. And back then it was a big jump because we were like, we're going to lose so much business, but we actually, 4x, like literally, I'm not even joking, in the first couple of months. 7 years later, we are now a fully fledged landing page design development agency. We work for Thor and hundreds of clients across the world. We turn out between like 50 and 100 projects per month. We have an internal team here in the UK of 8 of us. We have an external team of between 30 and 40 people who build and design and develop all our pages. And we're just very focused on scaling and growing this company. Sorry, that was quite long-winded.
Please, I mean, if there's anything else you want to share, please go on. For us, it was super interesting. I first got in touch with you, I believe, almost how long? Like 2 years ago. I don't know.
2 years.
I actually found you through Tim. So yes, I don't know what. Cool. I don't know what it was exactly, but Tim was just sharing how, he had a couple of wicked landing pages, and I was like, these look really fucking good. And I think I got into that, and that's how it all started. And it's been really like for me as a businessman, it's been very, very inspiring to see how you guys grow. Not just from a perspective where you just create more landing pages now, but how you built the systems in the back end. And now obviously with your guys and us working together, I can see how it's not just you
the
writing
processes and absolutely.
It's perfectly dialed in.
I'll be honest with you, like for the first 4 or 5 years of our business, it was just that back and forth with me. Like if we'd worked with you before a couple of years ago, it was me and Andy. Like we had a lifestyle business for about 5 years whereby we did everything. So we also took all the money, which is nice, but we did everything. So we ran customer support, we did the marketing, I was head of sales, Andy did the project management side of things, and we were everything. And we got to a point where we sat down probably about, not 2 years, probably about 18 months ago now, and we said, do we want to do this for another 5 years? Or we are both very much aligned on our goals, and we've always had this vision of building up like a company culture and wicked hub and a wicked product. And we sort of said to each other, do we want to now take this seriously and take the jump to do that? And it took us 5 years to get to that stage.
Yeah.
But 18 months ago, we've said yes. And that's what we've been doing ever since. So it's been 2 of us. We're now at 8. We're hiring 2 more this month. We've gone from a team of like 10 to 40 plus outsourced. And we're just on that trajectory now. And we're just, culture is everything. We've kind of got some wicked mentors in place, and that's where we're going. But to be very honest, up until about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, we were that kind of company that did kind of everything. So I really appreciate your feedback. That's wicked.
Which I think is a very important point. Obviously, our people mostly it's people in the e-commerce space, running stores, doing all that kind of stuff. It's something that's very applicable to all those people as well. Because when you start in this business, especially in today's day and age, where the barrier of entry is so low, everyone can have a store tomorrow.
Yes,
doesn't mean it's successful. Usually it's not, right? But you get into, and even when you're successful, you just do all the stuff yourself, right? You run the traffic, even though you might not know exactly how to do it. You create your own website, which is a nightmare every single, nine times out of 10 at least. You do your email marketing, if you're even aware of the fact that there is something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah. So, and at some point, and you can grow it quite a bit, right? But at some point, let's say, I don't know, the 100K a month, a year to 1 million or 2 million or 5 or 10 is a completely different type of business. So I feel like for people that want to grow from, hey, I'm comfortable, I work from anywhere I want, I make a bunch of money, I probably make more than the people I know, to, hey, I want to build a real business that lasts, that actually has intrinsic value. You have to make these type of changes. So again, sorry, you go.
No, I couldn't agree more with you. And I think you've hit it on the nail on the head. It's like what I normally say to people is when you're profitable, that's when you can start to think about kind of scaling and creating, like you say, like a real business. Up until that stage, I think it's good if you do it all yourself. It's good to get in the trenches, learn your trades. But like we've taken that attitude now. Like we get approached all the time and people say to us, do you do content? Do you do traffic? Do you do email marketing? And there's money on the table, and it's very tempting to go, yes. But all I now, even for us as a business, we outsource that stuff because I believe in paying the best people the best amount of money to go and do it, because otherwise you spread too thin. And I believe we are the best in the world right now at building landing pages and funnels and CRO, because that's all we focus on and we don't let ourselves get distracted. So yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think that is the perfect transition, looking at, not doing everything yourself and actually getting expert advice. That leads me to a couple of questions. I kind of want to get into some topics. I know we could probably talk for 10 hours on each of these topics,
We're
right?
on lockdown, so let's do it. Self-isolating. Let's
I was going to say, I'm not going to leave this apartment in the next 2 days anyway, or 2 weeks. Right. So what I would love to start with is for people to get a proper understanding if they're in good shape, right? Because obviously when running an e-commerce business, one thing that people tend to focus on is running traffic to their sites, right? There's a lot of talk about how to create the adverts, how to target people, how to scale. I mean, just on that topic alone, you probably have 5 million different opinions, and every single one is probably right in its own way, right? But one thing a lot of people don't focus on is how the actual website landing page, however you want to call it, is built, right? So one thing I want you guys that watch that to do is listen to what Oliver is about to say and see if you are in good shape. And if not, write everything down he's gonna say afterwards so you can actually make some changes. So let's talk about conversion rates. Obviously, there's a million things to it, but I would like our people to get a proper understanding of what we look at in the industry, what the averages are.
Sure.
And then with doing the steps that we're going to discuss today, where, when everything is done perfectly, obviously that's in line with the right marketing as well, but what people can expect if they do these changes. So just give me a bit of a run on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're so right. Like, we go to all these events, we're asked to speak at, very fortunate, we're asked to sort of speak and attend all the kind of big affiliate marketing events and stuff. And everyone is talking about traffic. And I think that's why we get quite a lot of good feedback, even when we do these kind of lives. Like, people love it because it's something that's different, and it's something where you can do like the tiniest little of things and it can make a huge difference. Like, everyone's obsessed with scaling from traffic, but you can actually scale by getting better conversion rates. And I think that's why my kind of piece now is education and kind of just showing people how they can do it. So yeah, I'd love to get into some of that. So yeah, across the board, if we're talking specifically e-com, the biggest, I'm going to start with the mistake, because I guarantee there's a lot of people watching this who are making this mistake, and I just want to get this over and done with. The biggest mistake we see in e-com is people driving traffic to stores or product pages. Now, you can optimize your store and you can optimize a product page. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have those things, because you should. Like, if you're taking this seriously and you deliver a good product, a good customer service, everyone should have a store. We call that like a brochure site. And it's basically whereby anyone can get to you via type-in traffic. If they Google you, if they want customer support, if they want return business, they go to your store, and that should be CRO focused. By the way, guys, if I'm saying CRO, conversion rate optimization, it should be CRO focused. But if you're doing paid media and you're still driving traffic to a product page or a store, it's not going to convert as well as driving to a direct response sales page. So what I mean by that is a dedicated page that's built just to sell a product. So it can be on the back of your Shopify store, it can be in the same install, same theme, whatever you want, but it's completely separate as far as it doesn't have the navigation, it doesn't have the footer, it doesn't have multiple products. It's a single store focused, aggressive sales page. And that's basically our bread and butter. That's what we're doing, sort of 50 or per month, and getting really good results. Now, on cold traffic, most people come to us and they're driving to like a product page or a store. If they're driving to a product page or a store, the average conversion rates we're seeing is anywhere between like 0.5 to like 2%. That's kind of the industry average we see from clients coming to us.
Do you come across a lot of 2% often? Does that happen a whole lot?
Not to product pages or stores, but that's the kind of like range that we see. Some people are getting like 2%, 2.5% max going to a product page or a store. If people know that they should be just sending traffic to a dedicated sales page, they might come to us with like a 3.5%. And I'm just going to be very honest with you here. Once we create sales pages, and I can't say this, I'm holding my hands up, this isn't every single time we do it, but on average, we will see between like a 5, and I'm not even exaggerating here, we can get up to like a 12%, 13% conversion rate. Like, we've been doing some pages for, I'm not going to mention the company, but a very big as seen on TV company in the States. And we roughly do about 10, 12 pages for them per month, projects per month. They do a lot of like as seen on TV products. So for example, they do like, I'm not going to name the product, but they do like, like you've got sockets in your house where you plug something in. They do these little shelves that sit on top of the socket and you can rest your phone on it. They do little gimmicky things like this. Like I'm sure you've seen these products about. They sell bras, for example. They sell like really comfy bras for females. They sell those kind of as seen on TV products. And we've been banging out these templates and these direct response sales pages. And on average, they're getting like 11 to 12% conversion rates.
That is, by the way, one thing I want people,
conversion rates.
That is just out of this world. And that is one thing I want people to understand the magnitude of what you just said. When you run traffic for $50 a day, it's not going to make a big difference, right? It might be the difference between a sale or two. But when we're talking to people that, spend 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, up to $50,000 a day.
These guys are doing like 50 to 100,000 per product per day.
And that, in that case, is literally the difference. What you have to think about, not you, like the guys watching that, in e-commerce, the person who's able to spend the most to acquire a customer is gonna win, not the whole pie, but almost all of it, right? The difference between 1% and 2%, the difference between 2 and 5%, 5 and 10%, is literally the difference between making millions of dollars and not being able to advertise a product profitable. So yeah,
agreed. A lot of people just switch off their products because they don't think it's profitable, whereas the product could be. You just need the right angle, the right page.
Exactly.
So it's the difference. You're completely right. But I'm not here to sell. Like I love to educate. So hopefully we can give some value and kind of tell you guys why these pages convert. Because I'm not saying use us. Of course, if you want to speak to us. But my kind of piece, like I've said many a time, is to educate. So I'd love to give some tips on how anyone can achieve better conversion rates, even if you are using product pages or even if you are using a store. I just want to set the kind of ball out and say, if you can afford to buy a landing page from someone like us or someone else, or if you have the means to have your own in-house team or developer, or you can code to create these direct response sales pages, please do.
Beautiful. So let's talk about that. Obviously, when you work with people, and we're one of them, and you work with a lot of people, obviously a lot of them come to you, and instead of creating something from scratch, they have something already, right? So for those people, what is common mistakes that you see, and what would you do to kind of get over the hurdle for them, or how do you change these things?
Absolutely. So the one thing we do is we don't tend to work on anyone's existing product. So like we will say to them, this is why it's not converting as well as it could. This is what we're going to do different. But we would then go build our own version of that page. But the biggest mistakes that we see, and there's quite a lot, but the biggest ones we see are, first and foremost, is load speed. So page speed. So if anyone's watched my videos before, you're probably getting me sick of me saying this, but page speed and load speed, when you're above that kind of 5-10K a day on traffic, is fucking crucial. Like you would have no idea how much effect it has on conversion rates. So, okay, I'm going to give you again some stats. Like if your page, you're doing ecom, and how do you test this, by the way? Let's just go get your landing page URL right now, pause this video, get the landing page URL, go to either gtmetrics.com, but a better one to test is tools.pingdom.com. I'm going to say that again because it's not available if you just go to pingdom.com. They don't make this tool free on the front end, but it's tools.pingdom.com. And you put your URL in, it's going to spit out exactly how quickly your page loads, and it's going to tell you how you can improve the page speed. Now, if you're running this test right now on tools.pingdom, that's the best one.com, and your ecom page is loading kind of like, and I'm going to set a high ballpark here, but like if it's loading above 6 seconds, so if it's taking longer than 6 seconds to load, then you need to optimize the shit out of your page, and you're seriously like losing conversions. If you want to optimize to the fullest, you should be getting that in around about 2-3 seconds. Now, how do you do that? You need to obviously know some form of development, like you can use different like cache plugins and stuff like that. But the simplest way and the easiest win that people can do right now is optimize your images and videos. Now, a lot of you who won't be experienced with optimization or development, you might sit watching to this and be like, well, Oliver, I'm not a coder, I don't know how to do that. Like, I'm not technical in the slightest and I can do it. Just Google free image optimization tool or free image compression tool. Download all the images from your landing page. If you're using a builder, that's the same principle. Run them through the tool, they'll optimize them, and then just re-upload them. It's that simple. And you'll shave seconds off your load time. Same with the videos. Don't host your videos on YouTube. If you can avoid that, host them on like Vimeo or Whistler, because they can load a lot quicker. Or even better, use like Amazon S3. But even optimizing your images is going to really save on that load time, and you'll see an uplift in conversions. Like we ran tests with Tim back in the day, and we were seeing that like for every 1 second decrease in load time, he was seeing between like a 3 and 5% increase in conversion rates, like across cold traffic. So like when you're doing volume, this is crucial. This is why I've led with this one. It sounds stupid, but it really is crucial. And I think we want to get into maybe like page builders and my opinions on them and stuff.
100%.
But just to touch on that, like that is why when you've proven a concept, you need to take it out of a page builder, because unfortunately, ClickFunnels is a brilliant piece of software. Russell Brunson is one of the best marketers on the planet.
No doubt about
love
it.
to meet the guy. Like, there's no questioning that, and it's an amazing bit of software. But it's built for, I would call, marketers to marketers. But anyway, it's basically it's a software. So when you load a landing page, you've got so many external scripts to load before you even load the page that the load times are really affected. And that's why you'll get far better results once you've proven a concept, pulling it out of ClickFunnels. But we'll get into that after. So Pagespeed is crucial. The second tip I can give anyone you can literally do again today is, if you look at your landing page now, so go and load your landing page. If you don't have social proof, and what I mean by that is like a testimonial above the fold, and above the fold is just that first screen that loads when you load your landing page. If you don't have a testimonial or social proof above the fold, you're losing money, okay? It's quite simply, you're losing money. So even just putting a real like testimonial with like 5 stars above the fold will increase your conversion rates. And these things sound stupid, but when you're doing paid media, even like the single like tiny little bit of move of the needle means like a huge difference between profitability and not. And these little things can really, really help. So
Real quick,
sorry, of course.
obviously,
I'm just going to talk, by the way, so just interrupt me. Like, I love this stuff. I eat, sleep, live, breathe this shit. Just cut me up.
So obviously I know how that will look, because you did it for us, or you're doing it for us. But when we talk about that testimonial above the fold, would you recommend just, having little text and 5 stars? Would you recommend having a little picture of the person? Talk to us.
Yeah, absolutely. The latter. So a bit of text, keep it short and simple. 5 stars, so 5 gold stars. Like on Amazon, you have the ratings, like those 5 gold stars. People relate with that, so just do 5 gold stars. And then maybe put next to the gold stars, put like rated 5 stars by 100 plus people or something like that. And then yes, absolutely. If you can, have a picture. So a little round picture of a person. Never use stock pictures. Never use anything that looks unreal or Photoshop. Just use like off record. Get your mum to take a selfie and put it on your landing page. Like that's people relate to authenticity. They relate to real people. So you just want something real. So yeah, anyone can do this. Just add a little testimonial, 5 stars, bang, your conversion rates will be lifted. Which
by the way, you just said something which I think is important to highlight as well. When it comes to anything e-com in today's day and age, being authentic is gonna beat everything, right? Whereas maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago,
I was about to say that we've been through that phase. Yeah,
exactly.
People are wised up, right?
You had to be like it was normal to have super sophisticated adverts, right? It was $1 million video production. You didn't even have, if you just shot something with an iPhone, you wouldn't get 1 sale. Whereas today, it's basically the other way around. If you film something with a potato, just telling people how you like the product, it's probably going to convert better than that high profile video shoot. So just one thing that I want to highlight real quick, because it's so crucial, and it really goes for every single aspect of your e-commerce business. It goes from advertising all the way to on your site. Obviously, you want to look professional, but when it comes to the people, like the faces that you see, the more authentic it is, the better and the better it works. So yeah, please continue.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, no, brilliant. Thank you. I again, I can talk for days, so just cut me off. But okay, so tip number 3, and this one is a little bit more in depth, but this one, if you can write this down, or just, I'm not going to do it justice on this interview, but I would strongly recommend you to study and follow the AIDA principle. So if you haven't heard of AIDA, just Google AIDA principle, but it stands for attention, interest, desire, action. Now, This is quite hard to explain on a video call like this, but the easiest way I do it is I say to people, imagine a piece of paper, so a plain A4 white piece of paper, right? Just like this. You split that piece of paper into 4 sections, okay? So halve it and then halve it again. You've got 4 sections. Right down the side, AIDA. Now you imagine that that's your landing page. That is exactly how the flow of your page should go if you want to optimize for conversion. So I'm going to break down each one quickly, but go and Google it. So AIDA. So we start with A, attention. What does attention stand for? It basically means you need to get your value proposition, or you need to get people's attention straight away on that landing page, because on average, you've got 3 seconds to do that. Otherwise, people don't scroll further. And how do we do that? So we normally do that with a very benefit-driven headline, a supporting headline, 5 bullet points, which are benefit-driven, a testimonial, like we just said, has to come above the fold, a product picture, and a call to action. Okay, I won't repeat that. You can pause the video, run it back. That's how you get your attention, people's attention. Moving on to that second section of the piece of paper. Imagine that piece of paper. Second section, interest. Now we need to pique people's interest. So whether we're doing lead generation, e-com, it doesn't change. These principles stay the same. How are we going to pique people's interest? Well, we need to tell them exactly how easy it is and how life-changing this product is. Like whether it's a physical product, whether it's a course, whether it's a, I don't know, an ebook, it doesn't matter. How is this going to change their life? How are we going to pique their interest? Imagine yourself as a consumer going down this piece of paper. How are we telling someone that it's going to benefit them? So we can get into copy and stuff content in a minute, but you always want to speak about the benefits. So we always start with the second section on the landing page is normally always the same. It's something like, it's as simple as 1, 2, 3. Tell them how simple it is for them to either purchase, opt in, whatever it may be. So it might just be like 3, 1, 2, 3. And then it's like, buy the product for affordable price. It gets shipped to you when convenient. You're then using the product. It's improving your life. Like it's that kind of simple. Pique their interest and show them how you do it. That's the second section. Third section on that piece of paper. Okay. So 1, 2, 3 is desire. Now, this one is a complete different ballgame in itself, and it's so important because let's say, for example, I'm in Germany tonight, we're on lockdown, but we're going to get a takeaway. The first thing I do, I would go on to like Trustpilot or Google if I found a restaurant, and I would look for reviews. I would look for people who have had experiences with that product. We don't want to give anyone an excuse to go away from your landing page to get that review. So that's why we have one above the fold, but it's also why we have that desire section. So this is where reviews come in place, case studies come in place, testimonials. If you can show videos of people using the product, again, authentic as possible. Don't get it professionally shot. You don't need to. Just someone in the house going, I buy this product, it delivered on time, and it's changed my life. It's benefited me. So that's that desire section. It's all about testimonials. And then not rocket science, that very bottom section is action. So what is and we always say, keep it simple, stupid, clearest form of action that people can take, and don't confuse your messaging for someone to get this product, to opt in, whatever it may be. Let's give them that clear call to action, and let's not confuse it. Like that's one mistake, going back to what a lot of mistakes we see. We see quite a lot of people confuse messaging on landing pages. They'll like, it's more in lead gen, but people do it on e-com, but they'll have like a button that says add to cart. They'll have a button that says read more. They'll have a button that says call us. And like they're confusing it. The second you give people multiple choices, they don't pick one. And it's fine doing it on bundles, like on the front end. We recommend bundles, especially in the world we're living in right now. People need more of the product because they're scared they're not going to be able to get more. So that's one thing I would say is add bundles to your front end. But especially if you're selling a product that will benefit someone in this pandemic or whatever you want to call it. But the kind of the call to action section, don't confuse it. Don't sell 2 different products on one page. Don't say call us or buy now. Just get yours now. That's it. As simple as that. And you may have those bundles, which are huge, and we can talk about how you should position them, but that's the AIDA principle. So that is so important. Like anyone can go and watch this now and create their own landing page. And if you follow those steps, like you will see much better conversion rates.
Just about that, it's funny that you just touched on the bundles with the action step, because one thing that we hear a lot when people come, so when it comes to our coaching, we have a very like you guys, it's a very strict system, right? It's the same every single time. We know what we want to see, how we want to see, how we want it to be executed.
Yeah.
And one thing a lot of people come to us when they first start with the coaching is like, hey, so I'm selling this, I don't know, pasta machine, and I found 3 products that are related to it. So just like Amazon, I want to show them what else they can purchase, right? And I mean, when you just look at it from a logical perspective, it kind of does make sense, right? You want the pasta machine, and then you want the olive oil, and then maybe you want some pasta as well. When you look at the actual data, it's exactly the opposite, right? Any bit of friction that you add between someone seeing you for the first time or the second, third time, whatever, and them actually adding something to their card has to be avoided. It has to be super, super, super simple. Like just like you said, like you have to get on there and just go through it like smoothly and be like, well, obviously, what else would I do than click?
What's my next natural? Yeah, what's my next natural step? You pre-sold me. You piqued my interest. You showed me the desire. And now I want the action. And like I'm going to use a stupid example, but like let's say, for example, again, we're in Germany. I'm with you tonight. We're getting a takeaway, and you present me with 10 different options of takeaway. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to be like, oh, well, which one do I feel like? Oh, which one do I like? Oh, I'm going to go read some reviews. I had that last night. I don't really like this one, right? But if you just said to me, Oliver, there's a Thai takeaway in the village we are. It's amazing. Bang, I can't wait. Let's order. Let's get on it. And it's that, like the second you confuse people. Now, you mentioned a pasta machine with the oil and the flour, like great concept. There's nothing stopping you from offering the pasta machine or the oil, the flour, and the pasta machine. There's nothing stopping that. But when you start offering completely unrelated products or different products that compete with themselves, just don't do it. So you can bundle stuff up like the whole package, and that's a sensible thing to do. But the second you kind of start confusing people with different options, you're going wrong. So you need to keep it very direct response.
Which, by the way, again, comes back to the point that we touched on previously. When you get people to spend more, we typically do it in the back end, right after someone purchases. We're like, hey,
one click upsell, bang, done. It's purchase, 100%.
That's typically how we would do it. But it comes back to the same point. If you get someone to commit more capital to what you have to offer, it's just going to put you in a drastically different position. So guys, go back a little bit. While Oliver talks about the bundles, super crucial, and think about it, how it can benefit your business.
But bundles are huge. You don't have to offer a bundle. You can just offer one product. It depends what the type of product is. But I'm going to use the shelf example again, the one that sits above the sockets. People need multiple shelves because they have multiple sockets in their house. So what we did with that is we offered 1, we offered 5, and we offered like a house pack 10. And obviously the 10 is the best value. It's got a seal on it that says the best value, most popular. And what we will do is, like you just said, we'll do a post-purchase one-click upsell, whereby if someone selects one, they've purchased one, but then all of a sudden we'll show them something like, wait, don't forget, you need these for all your rooms, and we'll do it that way. So you have like these if conditional upsells based on what you select on the bundles on the front end. So you can get clever with it, but you can also do it a post-purchase upsell on a straightforward one product. So you don't have to bundle, but I would just say, like, I did a talk, sorry, just turn this call off. Yeah, I did a talk on, in our group. We have a kind of a group on Facebook, and I did a talk yesterday of how you can kind of adapt. And I hate speaking about the kind of pandemic, but everyone still has to make money, right?
Well, I mean, you can't get around it nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. It needs to be talked about. But like we said, like there's never been a better time to bundle, especially if you're selling something that, for example, we work with like a lot of multivitamin clients who sell like vitamin C or turmeric tablets or everything that's actually proven to fight flus and disease and cold. Whether or not it has effect on this, I'm not sure, but like they're doubling down now because there's never been a better time 100%. To sell these things. But we have clients who came to us last week who were just selling one on the front end. They were just selling like with your product select, like how many do you want? And most people are just clicking one package and getting sent. But last week we created a sales page for them with these bundles. And there's a demand there because people are petrified that they're not going to get more of this in the future because A, it's going to sell out, or B, they won't be able to deliver it. So there's never been, if you're selling that type of product, a better time to bundle, unfortunately. But there's always opportunity to be made.
I was going to say, and that's a very important point. Well, some people are fearing that the world's going to end. There's always something you can do, right? So
You have
in
to
this
adapt.
specific situation, as long as delivery still is a thing, and you can get products out, find ways to maybe change up your offer a little bit,
Yeah.
But there's still going to be ways for you to sell your product.
I mean, even if not, like, and we did this content piece yesterday, like, it's again, it's horrible to kind of talk about it, but you have to. But even if people can't do that, like, there's lots you can still do, like pivoting into lead gen is huge. Like the amount of kind of like insurance, refinance, finance, loans stuff that's going to be kicking off is unfortunately, but it's going to be crazy. So you have to adapt 100%.
True. Yeah. Sweet. All right. So that was ADA, to kind of pivot back to the common mistake. So ADA is attention, basically your value proposition above the fold. Then we've sparked their interest, leading to desire, and then actually tell them what to do with it, which is action.
Nailed it. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Sweet. Next.
Can I share some more?
Yeah,
I want to share some more. Wicked. Okay. I love this stuff. So the next one that's crucial with ecom is a lot of people know about social proof, so reviews and that kind of thing. One thing that we really focus on and we love is kind of a phrase we've conned ourselves. It's trust proof. So it's showing things that people trust in. Now, I'll walk you through what those kind of things are. Like, gone are the day of these big 30-day money back guarantee sales and all these big kind of gold buttons and stuff, but you can still do this. Things like free shipping, things like secure shipping, money back guarantees, like anything that instills trust in the consumer is a really good thing. Again, if you're not doing this, it's just one simple thing that you can Google now, do to your landing page, you'll see enough lifting add to carts, is buy all of your buy now buttons, so all your add to cart buttons or get this now buttons. If you just Google something like payment card processor logos, we've all seen it before, but like the Amex logo, Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, there's ready available like pre-made graphics pings online that you can just download and add. If you add them by your payment buttons, you'll see an uplift in clicks, because people associate with these brands. They think, if this company, and this is the sort of stuff that we literally like go through our veins here at LPG, but like the normal person wouldn't even think of it. But it's when I tell you these things, I bet people are going, yeah, like I do that. Like you have 100%. To think, you have to put yourself, you have to put your mind into the consumer mindset, not a product selling mindset. You have to get into the consumer mindset. So people see these icons like Amex, like MasterCard, and they instantly think trust. These are huge billion-pound companies that are messing with you and associating with you, so we trust them. So little things like that. So trust seals, payment seals, anything like that, SSL secure seals, anything like that you can add to your page. You're going to see an uplift in conversion rate. So that's a really, really like simple thing that people can do.
Actually, one more thing that obviously I know the type of pages that you guys do very well. Does that ring a bell?
I was about to say that one. Yeah. 0.5. I'm going to let you tell people this one.
So one thing, I mean, obviously when we got the first landing page from you guys,
were you guys what the fuck are these people doing?
Well, I mean, I was impressed because it flowed so nicely, but there was certainly, I mean, specifically there was two things that stood out, when I first saw it, I was like, I mean, there must be a reason for it, but why exactly are they doing it? One of them was we had a very specific add to cart button text, which I haven't seen a lot, which was rush my order, which I think is fantastic. And then next to it, and that's probably what threw me off the most, was a little emoji, which I think I've never seen before in my life. Which
I want to say that we're the first people to do it, but I don't know if we are. I'm not going to say that we are, but it's something we started doing about a year ago. And as sad as the world we live in these days, like people, again, associate with an emoji. So we won't deliver a page now without putting an emoji on a button. And you would be mind blown, and you're probably watching this thinking you're an idiot, but like how much uplift it has. So Thor, you did it. Like this is the most common one we use. It's that pointing hand, rush my order or get mine now. When it comes to descriptive, you said about the other thing was the call to action on text, and obviously it's worked very well for you guys and it does for all our clients. But you want to get descriptive, like add to cart's boring, buy now, never use that. You want to use something like rush my order, get mine now, claim mine, grab my whatever it is. Like they work so much better. But yeah, emojis on the end of your button. So there's some clever things you can do and test. I would definitely test different combinations, but rush my order with a clock works. Add to cart with the cart icon works, but to be honest, we still can't beat it.
Do you guys sometimes do more than one, or do you decide on one every single time? So obviously you're going to have more than one call to action on your typical site. Do you always have the same one? Do you have the clock at one and then on the next one?
Typically speaking, you treat that like having different call to action text. Like I said, it doesn't work when you do like more info, add the cart, ring us. Like it's that confusing. You want to keep everything symmetrical and everything just the way the human brain works. Like the more you see of the same thing, the more it's going to engrave in you. So yeah, we keep it the same, but we still can't beat that. So this emoji on your buttons works.
Phenomenal. I mean who would have thought? And then the next thing, which I want to highlight, and obviously I now understand it, but which I found surprising when I first saw it, is all the stuff that you typically put into the footer, you know, like the stuff that you have to do about us and policies and all that type of stuff. Usually it would take you to a different side, right? Whereas what you guys do, just something
I'm
pops
glad you
up,
brought this up. Yeah.
And basically force you to keep buying. And I kind of said it now, but what's the reasoning behind that? Why don't you take
100%
like everyone else does?
It's 100% that, and that's 100% why stores and product pages don't convert as well. So it's good that we brought this back up, because there's probably people screaming at the thing going, I drive traffic to a store, it converts fine. Like, why are you saying these sales pages convert better? And one of the main reasons is, but beyond the conversion principles that we've just said, and that's why I said, like, any of these tips you can apply to product pages and stores, you can. Anything I've just said, you can still do. You're very limited on product pages, but you can still add these elements. But the very reason we do that is because we want to keep the person on the page. Now, when you're driving traffic to a store or a product page, what tends to happen more often than not, and you wouldn't see this unless you installed like heat maps and video things and shit on your page, which slows down load time, so I wouldn't even encourage doing that. But what happens is people will click to your navigation, they'll go to your about page, they'll go to your FAQ page, they'll go to the bottom, go to the contact to see if you're a real business, they'll click on your terms. The biggest one is people who have Facebook icons on their page. Like, why the fuck would you want people going on your landing page, clicking the Facebook page to see how many likes you've got on your Facebook page? Because I've done it, because the more likes, the more I trust you. You get it. People will always 100%. Check it. But all of a sudden they've got notifications, and then 30 minutes later, they're looking at pictures of their grandma on Facebook. And it's like, you've just paid for that click, and that's the customer you've lost. So this is why these sales pages, these direct response pages work. And this is why, like Thor just said, whenever we do privacy terms, conditions, whatever it may be, we do them in pop-up modals. So you're not even leaving that page, because as soon as you've left that page, again, it's the tiny differences that make the biggest difference. It's the tiny little things like this that make the biggest difference, because you don't want to get people into that mindset of clicking away or clicking an external link, because they'll just go and piss off on Facebook. It happens all the time. So these things might sound mad, but when you're driving, like our clients are driving, 50, 100 Ks worth of traffic a day to these landing pages, and every click counts, and every like tiny move of the needle is such a big difference. These are the things that make that difference.
And keep in mind, when we're talking about Facebook, Instagram, all that type of stuff, you shouldn't need that trust, because when you do your setup correctly and you kind of guide them through that flow, they should trust you already, right? Meaning any extra click is literally going to steal money from you. Right. Beautiful. All right, sweet. That was Ada. Anything else that folks should look at?
Yeah, so we went to Trust Proof. You touched on the emojis on buttons. That is really crucial. One thing that is important if you're doing big traffic is cross-browser compatibility. So a lot of people forget about this, and a lot of people forget about all of this. And I'm not like blaming you guys at all. Like, I get the traffic thing, I totally get it. But this is why people get value from what we do, because they can pick one thing up and like make a lot more money. I challenge all of you again, like I did with the Pingdom and the GT metrics, to take your URL, Google Browser Shots or Browser Stack. They both have a free version, and input your page URL, and it's going to show you how your landing page loads on different browsers. Now, for a lot of you, it's this minor details, and a lot of you, you're targeting similar demographic to like mine and yours, age, kind of like youngish, whatever. But anyone who's targeting an older demographic, this is where this massively comes into play, because a lot of the older demographic have older browser versions. They also have fucking Internet Explorer, which is the worst browser ever, still installed on their computer, or they're using like really old browsers. And you would be amazed at how these different older browser versions render your landing page. We've had clients that come to us and they're doing like 20K a day on traffic, targeting old demographics. I'll use this example because it's quite recent. They'll be selling like hearing aid tests, and they're targeting older demographics. And we ran their page through browser stacks, and like I think it was like Firefox, Opera, and Internet Explorer. I can't even remember which ones, but like their call to action button wasn't even appearing. So like they were sending traffic to a page that wasn't even rendering their call to action button. So you would be amazed at how these kind of things differ. So little things like that are important to us because this is what we do and this is why we charge what we charge. So yeah, that's another little tip. Just run them through and see what your page looks like.
Okay, so let's say I have this page, and that, by the way, is something I never thought about, which is shocking.
It's rare that it's that dramatic, but there are times where it just doesn't work, or fields or forms don't submit on different browsers, and yeah.
So let's talk about that real quick. So let's say I find, I mean, obviously, let's take this example, the one that you just had. Let's say I send people to my page. I want them to purchase. Obviously, I construct everything perfectly. It's nice. People understand and they know, they want to buy my stuff, but then they can't. So let's say if it's this example, or it's just something that, is off on a browser. How do I go about fixing it? Is there any way to describe it without being too technical?
Short answer is no. That would be in the programming. It would be in the back end. So it's a developer to look at it. But anyone can, we wouldn't even touch that. If you came to us, for example, and said, I've watched your video, it doesn't work in Internet Explorer or Chrome or whatever, but it's too small a job for us. So I'm just going to be open and honest. Just go to Upwork. If any of you don't use Upwork, it's a freelancer site. Sign up to a free account. Just set a post up and explain. Just use Loom to record a video and just say, I've just run my page through Browser Shops or Browser Stack, and it's quite obvious that it doesn't work in this browser. I need a developer to come in and make it work, and it should cost you like $50. But if you make an extra sale that month, it's worth your time, right?
100%. All right, sweet. So that's basically the common mistakes that you see, correct?
Yeah, let me give you one more. So another one that's really crucial. We don't offer or write content or copy because, like I said at the beginning, like it's almost like me saying to you, Thor, why don't you sell landing page services, or why don't you do copy? Like it's a completely different ballgame, 2 pages. But where we can help and where we do see a huge uplift is, I'm sure you've heard of it. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of it, but not many people put it into practice, is benefits over features. Okay. And benefits will sell. So what tends to happen when you have a product, and I don't even care if you're drop shipping or you're white labeling a product, it doesn't matter. You as a product owner are sold on the features and you just think about the features. So let's say like we're selling phones, and this is a good example because I've got a really cool example of where this works. But let's say you're selling phones. The manufacturer is just going to talk to you about, it's got this fucking camera, it's got this zoom, it's got a non-glare screen, the battery life's incredible. These are all features, and you will buy that phone or dropship that phone based on those features. Now, when you flip it to a consumer and you're trying to sell something, they don't care about that. I mean, yes, to some extent you need that kind of stuff on your page, but what really sells this product is the benefit to the user. So I challenge again, I'm doing a lot of challenging on this video. You guys are going to be like, who is this guy? But I challenge you again to look at your landing page right now from a consumer mindset and look at your content and headlines and see if they're benefit driven or feature driven. And I guarantee 70% plus of you will be feature driven. And what I mean by that is, I'm going to give you an example. So there's 2 adverts, okay? 2 adverts, the exact same adverts. They're selling exactly the same phone. So I just showed my phone. They're selling exactly the same phone. This advert has a headline and it says, the incredible 12 megapixel super zoom camera, okay? This is exactly the same phone, exactly the same image, but the headline says, take lifelong lasting pictures of your family that will last forever. And that headline and that ad and that landing page will sell 5 times more than that page because you're telling people how the product benefits them. So when you're looking at the content on your page, just look through it now, and anything that is feature led, especially in that interest part, that second part, if you can switch it to be a benefit, and you can always switch it. Like I learned, this frustrated the shit out of me because I write our content for our personal page. And Andy Drills, this my co-founder, he's not right here in the office, but he sits next to me in the office. That's why I'm pointing this way. We were sat here one day redoing our new site. We launched a new site about 6 months ago, and I wrote the content and I set it live. And he said to me, he was like, you do realize, like, you get on these videos and we have this blueprint here internally every fucking day that says benefits over features. And I looked at the content and I was like, what? That's mad. Yeah, I've just gone and written out the features. But like, we sat there and you can literally flip anything into a benefit. It is that whole thing of like 12 megapixel camera. Well, what's the benefit of that 12 megapixel camera? Is that you can take incredible photos of your family that will last forever. You know, a long-lasting battery, that's a feature. Well, what's the benefit? You know, never run out of battery in a meeting or on an important phone call. Like,
get at home safe when you're out with your friends, type of stuff.
Boom,
100%.
Everything can be flipped. So look at your language on your page, and you'll see an uplift in conversion.
I think one very, very popular example of that would be Apple, for example. If you look at how Apple advertises their products, it's not, hey, we got a new phone and now it's waterproof. They mostly, I mean, for every new iPhone, I feel like all they do is show how some dude made a photo himself of someone else who's close to him, and how much of a beautiful moment that is. That's literally all they talk about. Obviously,
and the best bit is Apple phones, everyone knows, has the worst features. Like Samsung and everyone else's features, everyone else's camera is better, right? But we all still buy the iPhone.
I was going to look at this retard. I always buy it.
Because it sells the story, like you said, because they're talking about benefit for the consumer. They focus on that. So that's a perfect example.
Crucial. Yeah, beautiful. All right. So let me just write that down as well. Benefits over features. All right, sweet. Yeah, I mean, let me just summarize that real quick to make sure that we all understood that, because I think it's some very, very powerful stuff. And for everyone, obviously, there is people that can help with that, like Oliver. But a lot, like even when you're just starting out, you know, even when you don't have the big bankroll and you have all the money to spend on experts like Oliver, which I encourage you to do if you have you do, but implement all this stuff yourself. A lot of the stuff that we spoke about today, even while it might not be perfect, you might not get that 12 or 9% conversion rate. If you get 3 out of instead of 1, it's a big deal. So start off with page speed. Most important things that you have to do is look at both the images and the videos on your page. There's free tools, I believe you said.
Absolutely free. Yeah, GT Metrics and tools.pingdom.com, 100% free.
That can help you decrease that, which is going to have a big impact. It's literally dollars in your pocket.
Google has a great Pagespeed free tool as well for mobile. So go on, just Google Pagespeed Insights free.
Which by the way is one thing that I want to highlight real quick as well. Don't just look at one of the two, desktop and mobile. Sometimes we see that, or we hear that someone has a 3-second, and then 5 weeks later they realize that mobile
had like 19-second mobile. Yeah,
exactly, and they want to wear that and don't make money. So check both. Super crucial. Second one, testimonials. One, make them authentic, obviously, but most importantly, have one above the fold in your face so that people get trust the second they come in. Third one is have a very specific structure for your landing page, which you guys use the ADA principle for, which is attention, meaning the value proposition at the very top, followed by interest, then spark the desire, and tell them what to do, which is take an action.
Perfect.
Lastly, trust proof, meaning make sure they feel warm and fuzzy about the whole experience, right? That could be secure shipping, that could be money back guarantees, that could be adding social proof, like I would assume magazines as well. Hey, okay, magazine L.
Brands we've been featured in, perfect.
Could be just if you've never been featured anywhere, just make sure you use payment gateways. If you use Stripe, for example, you're gonna have all that anyway. Amex, Mastercard, Visa, Maestro, all those ones. Just add that as well. 5, Jesus, we covered a lot already.
I've got more to share. I'm like, my head's buzzing. I need to share 2 more quickly with you.
Browser compatibility, making sure it doesn't only run on Chrome or whatever you guys are using when you develop the website. And if you realize that it's not proper on Internet Explorer, Chrome, whatever, make sure you find someone that fixes it for you. It shouldn't cost a whole lot. And overall, when it comes to messaging, go benefits instead of features. All about emotions, not drumming home some boring old points no one wants to hear. Is that a fair summary?
That's perfect. Also these on buttons, emojis on buttons. Two more very, very quick. So one, on a mobile, just because we touched on mobile, if you haven't got a stickied button, a sticky CTA on mobile as you scroll, then you're missing money. So what I mean by that is when you're on your phone, this bottom section of the phone should have a button that's stickied on there at all times. So when people are scrolling, they can actually just click. What was I going to say on the second one? Okay, so this one, Thor, you probably got some wicked insight and content on this as well. But we see this mistake a lot when it comes to e-com, is people will sell a product. They'll sell a cheap product for like, let's say $10. Now, people add to cart and then they'll contact us and go, we're getting loads of add to carts, and then people are dropping off at checkout. By the way, when you're doing these direct response sales pages, send people straight to a checkout. Don't go to cart. It's a step that's not needed. But people add to cart, they go to checkout, then we're seeing a huge drop off. And I look at the page and I add it to cart and I go to the checkout. And then there's a big thing in the summary that says shipping $5. And I'm like pulling my hair out because A, you don't say that on the front end. B, your product's only $10 and people are going to pay half as much again for shipping. It's just not going to happen. That's why people are going off. The way to combat that, the way we combat that is on the front end, you make your product $15 and you tell them that they've qualified for free shipping. Instantly in people's mindset, in their brain, they're like, oh, free shipping? Great. I'm not even going to pay for shipping. Just put it into your cost. Don't ever mention or charge for shipping. So yeah, I'm out.
Which I won't let you go. You're isolated anyway. You can't get out.
We're doing the 24-hour stream.
Which by the way, just comes back to friction, right? Anything, and it's just another prime example for that. Anything you can do to stop people from being upset about anything, keep in mind, especially when Google is a different story, but advertising on Facebook, we're living in a microwave culture, right? Like it's impulse purchases. It's not that someone thinks about the pasta machine for 5 weeks. It's they see it, the ad is done well enough for people to be like, all right, well, I need a fucking pasta machine right now. You click on it, you guide them through, the funnel that you just laid out. We don't want any friction. We want this purchase over with, right? Because the second they start thinking about it, there might be, or like you said, your mom texts you, like something happens, that sale is gone. It's probably not going to come back forever. So super, super, super important. Any other last? I do have another couple of questions.
All I was going to say lastly is if you sell a pasta machine, then get them into your ecosystem and then sell them some how to make pasta stuff. So yeah, like once you've got them, like you said, it's that whole thing of like, we want the sale done as quickly as possible. We can always market it to them and get the lifetime value up. So yeah, ask me the question.
And then we want to nurture them, which brings me exactly to my next point. Now, when it comes to selling a specific product, we want the whole flow to be perfect, to make sense, for them to go from, Facebook, Google, Snapchat, whatever, to my page, to purchase, and we're done. Now, obviously, when it comes to big brands, they're not going to have this one product. They might have what you just said, instead of having physical products, when it's, let's say we sell vitamins, for example. I just want to sell my turmeric, get well soon, pill, powder, something, right? They purchase it. Now, I know for a fact that people that buy stuff like that, they're interested in anything and everything where they believe there's a benefit in that product. So I want to offer that to them. So obviously, I need a place where I can display all those other products, talk about the benefits. Guide me through the transition, or not even transition. How can you look at a product page and one of those high converting funnels, and how do those two go together? Because I would assume at some point you want to do, the whole brand appeal.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like we said at the start, it's a very good point. And like we said at the start, so anything with cold traffic, anything with paid traffic needs to go to a direct response sales page. It just converts better. Okay. It's as simple as that. I can't explain it any less or more. It's black and white. So anything with cold or paid traffic goes to a sales page. Now, when you have them like in your ecosystem, and like you said, I totally agree with you. Like once they've bought, especially in a product like that, they want more of the product. They want vitamin D, they want C, they want some other pill, they want some tea, they want, the whole shebang. That's obviously on the back end. You can retarget, you can email. Then yes, I mean, I would still probably send them back to direct response sales pages, but some people will just want to type in they'll get the bottle, they'll see the label, it'll have your website address on it.
Yep.
That's where you do 100%. Everyone does need a store eventually. I think a lot of people approach us and they're like, we've got a product, we need to build a store. And I'm like, no, I would start with building. It's cheaper to build a landing page than it is to build a store. I'm losing money by advising people this, but I want them to prove a concept first and then build out their brand and their store. So if it sells, 100% build out a brand, add more products. Every single point, and again, I'm not challenging people, but every single point, I guarantee if you read through that list again, that applies to a store, it applies to a product page. You can still do all that stuff. That's why we do offer CRO, we do build stores, we do build websites, because every single rule still applies. You still have to have a value proposition above the fold. You still should have a testimonial above the fold. You can do that on a product page. It just doesn't convert as well, but you can do it. And that's why if people don't have the money and they're watching this video to work with someone like us or someone else, they should still do these things on their product pages, because they're still going to see an uplift in conversion rates. So, it's anything I've said applies to those pages, but 100%, you just still need to optimize your stores and your website.
So essentially what you're saying is it's still the exact same thing. The only difference is you basically kill some conversions by not focusing on one thing specifically and doubling down on those specific benefits, but you still talk about all those principles. It's still going to be the same layout. It's just not going to be converting as high.
The principles are exactly the same on any page.
We still obviously want to do it, because when you buy a lot of traffic, you're going to build a brand, meaning people are going to come back.
Still going to up your conversion rate. Exactly. Yeah. That person even that one person that comes back is more likely to buy if you optimize. But any cold traffic, I still go to a sales page. But you're absolutely right. The principles apply across anything. The principles apply across an advertorial, pre-sale, a multi-step page, a lead gen page. The principles are all the same. We've proven that over the last 6 years. We're doing 50, 100 of these pages per month. The principles remain across everything. And that's what we're doing internally. We have this blueprint that kind of outlines these principles.
Phenomenal.
You need to optimize. I mean, again, this is my kind of job, my day-to-day now is just educating people on anyone who's got a website. You need to optimize it, or you need to build something that's based on these CRO principles, because it just converts better. It's proven. It's fact.
100%. I was going to say, I mean, all us watching this or talking about this, we're actually spending money on this, right? Meaning applying this or not applying this is literally money back in your pocket. So do it.
1,000%.
Now, one last thing that I want to touch on, and we've been going for a while. I could go on for 2
Day
days.
3 of isolation. Thor and Oliver still on cam.
So the last thing, and
I think the sun's coming up actually.
No, it's getting dark outside now. Last thing that I want to touch on, and that I want to leave with people, for those that are not ready yet to work with someone and outsource that and do all these steps themselves. One thing, obviously, is start by doing that. Just do whatever Oliver just said and just do it. Now, as we get into running more traffic and spending more to acquiring customer, building out our back and all that type of stuff that's really fun about e-com, we will come to a point where I'm going to wonder, is that emoji the best, or is the clock the best? I'm going to wonder if that headline is the best, or if I should say something else, if I want to do it above the fold or female, right? So if you can, tell people how to split test, if there's any tools that you can recommend, ideally that are free, and how to go about it. Testing one thing, testing 5 things. Just give it a bit of a short little rundown of how you would approach it.
It's a service we're looking to offer very shortly. We don't offer it quite yet. We're doing it kind of silently for a few of our bigger clients, but we do know quite a lot about it. There's different types of testing. So you've got split test, A/B test, multivariate testing. Split test is, in my opinion, is having completely different variations of a page. So when we prospect people, when we send a proposal to people, we will quite often, if they have the budget, we'll offer them 1 page, 3 page, 5 page, and they'll be the same, selling the same thing. And these people are at a level where they know that they're going to probably in due time disregard 4 of the concepts, but 1 page will stand out and convert better. So a split test is when things look completely different. Where people can make a really sort of detrimental change and uplift when they have something that's working, whether it's ClickFunnels, whether it's using us, it doesn't matter, is basically what you just described as a multivariate test. Mm-hmm. So that is where you are testing single elements and variations of those elements. So when it comes to multivariate testing, we personally use VWO.com, but it's quite an expensive tool. I can't even remember what the entry level is. I think it's about $1,000 minimum per month at the moment. Wow. Google have a multivariate test tool, a split testing tool. If you just input in Google's multivariate test tool. Optimizely offer one. I don't know of a. We don't use it. I think Google is free, but we don't use it. We use VWO. But the only advice I can give you on these type of tests is, again, following that kind of KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid. So don't test multiple things at once, because you won't have enough data to know which thing you changed had the biggest uplift. So anyone who's doing this, the first thing you want to test for starters is your call to action, text, emoji, color of the button. But I would start small. So what I would do is I would create like 10 variations or 5 variations with 5 different colored buttons, but don't touch anything else on your page. Keep it all the same, because then you have a very clear data recorded experiment where you can point and say, well, the green button clearly converted better. You then do what's called set as your baseline. So you set that green button as your baseline, and then you move on to the next test. So we might then change the emoji from a pointing to a clock. But what we don't do is we don't do like a red pointing with a green clock because you just don't know which one has the effect. So we move on to a green button with different emojis. We then clearly see which emoji converts best. Then we stop it. We set that as our baseline, and we then test, for example, like the headline. That's probably the next important thing, just the wording in the headline. Again, you keep everything else the same, but you test 10 or 5 different headlines, see which one converts best to the data, set it as baseline, and go again. And that's how I would start to build up this multivariate test. That's how we do it. That's how the big kind of agencies and clients that we work with do this and have best results. Because a lot of people will a split test is completely different. A split test is one completely different looking page to a completely different one, which one works. Then we go down into these little tests, and that's how you should test and optimize your pages. Great advice. About that, at what point is the data significant enough to know that we can move on to the next test? It's kind of like depending on obviously budget and how much you can spend on that. I personally wouldn't go anywhere below like 1,000 visits or 1,000 clicks. I think that's the very bottom. But you know, we again, just to be very transparent, a lot of our clients are doing like 20K, 50K a day on traffic, so they're getting way more hits to pages. But I think below that, you can make a guess, but it is kind of guesswork. So I wouldn't say don't do it. But I think you need to be at like 1,000 hits per day kind of thing to kind of really make the most of this sort of thing personally. Beautiful. We're not experts in multivariate testing yet, or split testing. That is a service we're looking to add this year. So I'm not going to, I'm always open and honest and but let me know when you start, by the way. We will. From our experience, that's what's worked so far very well. And that's a lot of knowledge from Tim. We co-host Tim's London Mastermind every year, Tim Bird. We co-host this mastermind every year in London. He's like he's still a client. He was our first ever client. He's a client 8 years later. And that's how he does his testing and multivariate testing. And he uses VWO, and he's, you said it yourself, the godfather. So no other way to put it. All right. I can't call him. He's going to give you a hard time when you do, I guess. I'm joking. He is the best. He's good. He's a wicked guy. We owe a lot to Tim. He's great. Beautiful. Look, I still have a hard time wrapping this up, and I could think of yet another thing I want your opinion on real quick, which then guides me to wrapping this up. Now, obviously, as you know, we're leaning heavily towards custom code for the very, very simple reason that it just makes life a whole lot easier. While you need experts to do it for you, it's going to make you a bunch of money, right? And we like doing that. Simple. So my question is, and obviously I guess you could talk about that for just 2 hours in itself, but
I mean, Shopify is phenomenal in coming up with solutions for people, right? Now, one thing that we see when people first starting with us, they're overloaded with shit, right? I mean, they have a theme, a premium theme, which oftentimes is the best thing they can do if they're doing it
Theme,
themselves.
add-ons, plugins, yeah.
It's a great start, and I would recommend everyone doing it. There's great themes out there, instead of just doing it yourself and have your site look like complete shit. Perfect. But there's limits to how much you should give away to apps and themes, obviously. So what we see people is, for every little thing that you can do in a shop, they have an app. And within no time, even if they do the things that you recommended to decrease page speed, it's still going to be 7, 8, 9, 20. Like we see stuff you wouldn't believe it, right? Like 19 seconds.
I'm sure we see worse,
seconds.
I promise. Yeah.
So my question is, let's talk about beginners, right?
Yep.
Is there things where you say, hey, definitely use apps for it, you can't replace it with custom code? Or is there things that are very easy to replace with custom code? Can you give us a bit of an idea?
Yeah, sure. No, absolutely. And it's a great point, and one that we face every day on sales calls or discovery calls. And it's an education piece again, because people don't want to hear it. And I get it. I totally get it. But you've kind of hit the nail on the head where you said, a lot of newcomers or people who don't code, they'll pick a theme, they'll add every single fucking plugin that does every shiny thing because they think it's going to add to conversions. But
right.
the most damaging thing it does is it adds to that low speed. And notice how I didn't start my tips with ADA principle. I didn't start my tips with benefits before features, or emojis on buttons, or cross-browser compatibility, or whatever, all the tips we went through. The biggest effect we see is still that page speed. And that's why we kind of preach it every time, first and foremost. So the damaging thing these plugins do is, like you just said, though, they add to that load speed, and you'll end up 10 seconds plus, and you just won't make sales because of it. You don't understand that it's kind of like, it's hard to explain, because people think it's going to benefit them and up their conversion rates with these plugins, but really it's having the detrimental effect of damaging their conversion rates, because low speed's so low. The plugins are often poorly coded. They don't do the job they're going to say. So yeah, you need to avoid it. Unfortunately, there's not much you can do without custom code. But the one thing, let's take page. Okay, so newbies who are watching this video who can't afford to hire us, that's absolutely fine. I'm not here to sell, as I said, but what I would recommend you doing is using a Shopify, using a theme, using ClickFunnels, Unbounce, whatever you want to use, and get something up there. That's the most important thing. Go and prove a concept. Go and prove that you can sell whatever you're going to sell. I'm never going to slate those tools. They're there for a purpose. Go and prove it works. When you're making money or breaking even, we are the difference between a lot of profit and maybe just below profit. And that's when you need to make a decision, if you have budget, to not just hire us, but hire someone who knows what they're doing to build these kind of custom sales pages or sales funnels out, like we kind of do for Thor and Justin, because that's when you'll see a big increase in conversion rates. Now, what you can do is use these page builders and these themes straight away. The only thing I would say is add-ons are going to hurt you. So minimize as many as you can. If you can do anything with embed codes and stuff like that, when it comes to like reviews, just do it, because optimize your images yourself, run them through a compression tool, just re-upload them, videos host away from YouTube. All these things you can do, all these things in the video you can do, they'll add to your conversion rates. But the only one thing that I would encourage you to use a plugin for, if you are new and can't get it custom code, is an upsell. It's a post-purchase upsell. So even something like Zipify, Cart Hook will be too expensive for newbies, but it's a great plugin. Anything like that, one-click upsell app, like all these kind of things, I would recommend, because they're just going to add to your average order value, which is so important. Like a lot of our clients will break even on the front end, or just pay for the traffic on the front end, but they'll make their money off that one-click upsell. And if anyone doesn't know what a one-click upsell post-purchase is, it looks like this. There's 4 steps. There's like a landing page, a checkout, they then pay for the purchase, and then they see a post-purchase upsell that says, wait, don't you want to add this product, or don't you want more of the same product at a discount? Yes, they just have to click yes. They don't have to enter their billing stuff again. It auto bills them. Then they're taken to the confirmation, which is the 4th step. So Zipify is probably the most affordable and user-friendly one for Shopify. I don't know if ClickFunnels have post-purchase upsells. I don't think they do. They might do. Actually, no, I think they probably do.
I don't know. We just recommend OCU and that's it.
OCU's good. Yeah, one-click upsell is great.
Ezra all the way. Yeah.
Yeah. Zipify is probably the best. He's a good guy. And if you need a discount for that, I'm going to shamelessly plug one of my personal projects. Head on over to internetmarketingdeals.com. We've got an extended trial actually. So I think the normal trial is like 4 days, and we've got 14 days or something like that. So it gives you a fair test. Sorry about that. I had to do it.
Well, I mean, you brought enough to plug something. So let me just continue with exactly that, guys. If you're just starting out, don't get overwhelmed with anything that we just spoke about. By going through it, maybe go through it 15 times, even if you can't afford working with someone like Oliver. Do it anyway. Even if you don't do everything we just said, just start working through those steps. Every little bit, implementing just one of these things, like 6 big topics that we spoke about, it's going to make a big difference. Obviously, over time, implement all of it. Now, with that being said, if you are at a point in your business where you're doing well and you're having success with your business and you can now afford to double down on what you're really good at, like Oliver said in the beginning, there's stuff he can't do, whereas his business partner does other stuff well. If as a business owner, your focus should be growing the company, meaning if you can give specific parts to someone else, do it. With that being said, get in touch with this guy. We're going to tag him around this post, meaning if you have questions, I'm sure he'd be willing to answer it. If you struggle building all this stuff yourself, either you have the finance to do so, or you just don't want to do it, speak to someone that can do it. And we 100% recommend this person and his team. It's a blast working with them. We wouldn't do it any other way now. So yeah, get in touch with Oliver. Oliver, thank you very, very, very much for almost 1.5 hours, I believe, at least. I'd love to have you back eventually. It's been a blast. Thank you very, very much.
No, I really appreciate it. Like I said, I'll hang around. If anyone has any questions, just tag me in the group. I love seeing what you guys are doing. You offer so much value. So yeah, no, really appreciate being on. Like Thor said, if anyone wants to get in touch, just go to landingpageguys.com. And we've also got a free group that discusses conversion rate tips just at landingpagecollab.com. But no, really appreciate it. It's flown by, and thanks again, Thor.
Beautiful. Right. Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Cheers, guys.